I'm not one of those people who, hammers on athletes who don't necessarily, elect to play for their country. I mean, I made the point, and I've just always felt this way. When you're a professional athlete, you're a paid entertainer, and quite frankly, it'd be great if everybody was willing to give up their time for nothing. But quite frankly, you have to make it somehow worth a guy's while to do it. That's I think that's just the way it is. How disappointing do you think will people like Steve Nash and Jay Triano be that they weren't able to attract, a guy like Trey Lyles is a guy I think of, or I think Andrew Nicholson and Dwight Powell. In some ways, that can be easily explained. Kelly Olynyk's hurt, but I really think there's a sense, isn't there, Mike, that somehow Canada's NBA players let the side down?
There is a sense of that, and I guess the two names that really kind of are taking the bulk of the heat really are Nick Stauskas and Andrew Wiggins. One, because they're both really good players. Two, they're healthy, they're under contract, they're young, they're not encumbered by, as far as we know, all sorts of family issues, and they've played before. So and I think the way I've come around to it is I agree with you. I think it's kind of holding these guys out and hanging them out to dry is the wrong thing to do. I don't think it's fair. I think it's kind of the way I kind of look at it is who's contributing more to society on a day-to-day basis. A paramedic or me and you talking on sports radio, right?
Right.
But so I have full time and respect and hold in high regard people who choose professions or volunteer efforts that help all of us, but I don't think it makes the rest of us bad people. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
So I think that's what it is. I think the guys who consistently and this summer went over and played in Manila on kind of it's a tough schedule. I think if you were going to do everything Canada basketball wanted for their men's program this year, and they had qualified for Rio, that's 9 weeks. Now not everyone would have done the whole 9 weeks, but that's a lot of time. And so I think the guys who did step in and answer the call and deserve a ton of credit. But I don't think the reverse of that is true. I don't think people who, for whatever reason, and they all had good reasons, chose not to, deserve to be, blamed. And in part, like, what are we going to do, right? Like, I mean, the next time Canada's at the Worlds or at the Olympics or facing a crucial qualifying game and Nick Stauskas shows up and drills a bunch of threes and is player of the game, which is entirely possible, like, is all of a sudden he's a good person because he did that. So, I just think there's got to be a little bit of consistency and understanding that, as you point out, I mean, this is a volunteer mission and it doesn't come with money. And, the crowd of people who immediately say, well, the hockey players do it. Well, I'd be very interested to see what the level of participation at the World Championship would be if it was held in the middle of July, not the week following the season when most of them would be in the playoffs anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I can answer that question for you. I don't think it'd be as good as a lot of hockey fans necessarily think it would be. Mike, I will say this though. I mean, I thought having Steve Nash and Jay Triano especially Steve Nash, was supposed to. And I'm going to play devil's advocate here, but I thought this was supposed to stop this whole, reluctance or work against this reluctance to play for the national team.
I guess, you got to look. I know exactly what you're saying. Last summer they had probably of the people they wanted to play or needed to play, I think they got almost everybody except Tristan Thompson, who was in a contract issue.
And he ended up playing this year. So.
And he kind of, believe me, I was talking to him at the NBA Finals. I was very ready to have some time off. It's a long, long grind for those guys. And it's not like he's going over there and pounding rocks or anything. But,
right.
But it would have been very, very easy for him to say no this year. Mm-hmm. So you got to give him credit. It comes back to just a couple of guys. I would say this. I don't think that, as far as I know, there's no rift. There's no people who are sitting out on a point of principle, which has happened to this program in the past.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
If there is, at this point, I don't know about it. I don't think there is. I think Steve and Rowan Barrett and Jay Triano have done a pretty good job and been pretty understanding of the full picture of what it means to be an NBA player today and as it relates to national team commitments. Steve himself, he got to a certain point in his career where he didn't play for the national team anymore. So I don't think he can, and really, if you want to be technical about it, that's the moment his NBA career took off because he was healthier and more prepared and fresher. So I don't think he's going to stand in big judgment of a lot of these guys. So I would say if you look at the past 4 events, right, if you go back to 2013, when they tried to qualify for the Worlds, and if you go back to last summer, and then even the summer before that, when they didn't have a competition and were touring Europe, they had pretty good NBA participation. They really did. So I think again, it comes back to this summer. They didn't get 2 or 3 key guys I'm sure they would have loved to have had, and I don't think that should be kind of cloud over the fact that overall the participation has been pretty good.